partner. I want you to take a minute right now just to share some of the amazing ideas you had last night while reading. Okay? Talk to your partner. Tell them what you discovered, what ideas you revised, what new things happened. Take a moment and talk to your partner. Tell them what's going on. Okay? Go. Come on, guys. It's 10:37. The goal's going down.
And I found that when the main character, the first main character is dreaming, so she thinks that that dream is like a warrior who tells the truth. So she was finding, she was adventuring about ghosts.
Okay, let's come back together. So, I've been thinking about the work we did a few days ago when we talked about looking at a character's less likable sides. Right, you remember that? Remember? So we talked about looking at less likable sides and how a strong reader can acknowledge all sides of the character, right? See all parts of people. We know that this is hard. Right? So we watched the movie clip last time, right? And you know what happened after class that day? My inbox was flooded with emails from students, including Miss B, talking about how I was too mean to Harry Potter. Right? So what they told me was that Harry was acting that way for a reason. Do you guys know why Harry was acting that way? Do you guys know? Have you read the book? Well, Miss B was real angry because she loves Harry Potter. And she said that, well, Harry, at the time, Harry had thought or was thinking that Malfoy had beat up and fought another kid. So he was angry about that. And she said that the spell that Harry cast on Malfoy, the book that that's from, is actually like an evil book that takes over the person who opens it. So in his head, he had this evil voice telling him to do evil things, right? So she kind of defended Harry. But what was really happening is that she forced me to think about the pressures that were acting on Harry at the time. So I thought, there's a guy, his name's Pedro Noguera, right? He studies teenagers. Right? He's a researcher, he studies teenagers, and he says that when children act out, okay, when children act out in problematic ways, it's usually the cause of some other pressure in their life that's causing that, right? So, what we're going to do today is try to deepen our understanding by, again, looking at all sides of the character and being empathetic and thinking about the pressures acting on the character that might cause them to act a certain way. All right? So let's think about Will. You guys remember Will from Popularity? Now, I'm going to read you just one section. So we said that Will was, there we go, ruthless. of mean. So let me read you a little section to jog your memory, okay? I could see my future, my boyhood itself, crumbling to the dust. And as I heard the laughter and felt the heat of the spotlight upon me, I pointed at Mitch's yellow pants and shirt and said, "Someone else needs a mirror. You look like a canary." Then, with the grace of a magician's assistant, I raised my left arm in a presentational gesture and said, "Boys, I give you Tweety Bird." Right, here's Tweety Bird. Tweety Bird, right? And it was all over. As the volume of the laughter doubled, Mitch seemed to vanish. And that day, on that playground, Sean Owens' laughter was heard for the first time. In an instant, Mitch Brockman became Tweety Bird, and I, an absolute non-entity, became somebody. And then somebody special. Someone to seek out. Someone to follow. Sean Owens' first jester and best friend. The entire transformation was complete in a matter of months. Then he says that Mitch eventually disappeared. Right? So, my question to you is, okay, what pressures might be acting on Will to make him act that way? Turn it on. Talk with your reading partner. You guys, you should still be talking. What pressures are acting on Will? Okay, you don't want to talk to each other? Talk to me. What pressures are there? Tom?
Because if he wants the chance to check it out, he might be linked up to the outside and then have the chance to fit it in.
Okay, so Tom said that he has the pressure from Mitch at that moment. So he has that pressure from Mitch pushing him right there, talking about it, the cuffs on his pants. What else? Yes?
His desire to be popular.
Okay, so popularity. Now, why would popularity be important for Mitch?
Because he was working for every day to see the popular kids and how it could be one of them.
Right, but why do you think he wants to be a popular kid? What's so special about being popular? Why do kids want to be popular? Well, maybe it's the case that in Will's school that only the voices of popular kids matter. So if you want to be heard, you got to be popular. Maybe that's the way it is, and that's why he wants it. Another pressure that I think is pushing down on Will is loneliness. Because even though he's been hanging out with the Allens for a couple months, it's clear by the way he talks about them that he doesn't feel like they're his real friends. Right? So I feel that he's lonely. What else is pushing down on him? What else did I put up here? Popularity, cool kids. Any other ideas? So what happens here is that as I think about some of the reasons, some of the things weighing down on the character, I become more understanding of their situation. Right? So I get a deeper understanding of who they are by the way they're responding to these pressures. Okay? So now I want you to do this. And I want you to think about yourself. I want you to take 30 seconds and dig deep. I want you to think about a time when were you less than likable? Think about a time when you did something less than likable. Okay, think for 20 seconds. Okay, now share that time with your partner. Tell them when you were less than likable. So I was less than likable once when did you mean? When did you do something bad? Tell each other. You part of this group? Don't tell.
Okay,
Yeah, when you did something bad. Okay, so some of the things I've heard in classes when I ask them, when were you less than likable? What did you do that you're not proud of? When did you do something that's out of character? And often students say, like, I shouted at my parents, I took something without asking, I hit somebody, I lied about this, or I broke something. They often, children that are under a lot of pressure, if they act out, often it's deceitful or destructive. So like lying or breaking things. Okay? And everyone's done this, right? Everyone's had this experience. You're all human. So my next question is, and we're not going to share these, okay? Just with your small group. My next question is, what are some pressures that were acting on you that may be responsible for the way you act? So what are the weights that are on your shoulders? What are they? Turn and talk.
Great.
All right. Thank you guys for sharing. Some of the things I heard are grades and expectations. I don't know what that is. Okay, I heard grades and expectations. So there's a clear pressure to do well in school. Right? It's obvious the amount of academies around here and the schedules that you guys have and how hard you work in class. It's clear that there's a pressure to perform well in school. Also, there are expectations that weigh on you, and it's not just grade expectations about grades, it's about the way you should act, the things you should say, the way you should look, the way you should behave. Okay, all of these things are weighing down on you. Anything else that was mentioned that was interesting? What else? Fred? Did you raise your hand? No? What else? What other pressures might be acting upon you? Other than grades or expectations about the way we're supposed to be and look. Anything else? No? Now, as we read on, it's important to think about this because this will deepen our understanding of character, right? And you might ask, like, why do I got to keep writing this stuff down? And I just want to read, right? But think about when you're writing this stuff down, you're actually practicing the thinking, right? So when you go to the beach, I don't expect you to bring your notebook and Post-its, right? But here in English class and during the school year when we read, we're practicing the skills that we want to make automatic. So when you're in high school and when you're in university and you're reading, all these things that good readers do are happening automatically. Right? They become strategies that you employ without thinking. Right? So that's why I encourage all of you need to write this down. Good thinking, but practice writing it down. Right? Because we need to practice those skills. Now, as you go back, think about all of these techniques we have to think deeply about characters. I want you to pick one for today that you're going to use. And it might depend on where you are in your book. At the beginning of the book, you might be writing a lot about how the characters are presented to you at the beginning of the book and making predictions about how they're going to change because you know that characters are complicated and they're not only one way. You might consider this if you're at the end of a book or you're in the middle of a series or the character has just done something strange, something that you didn't expect. You might practice this one. Okay, so in your head, I want you to choose one and then move back to your tables. Okay? So you got about 30 minutes to read. Okay, I'll be around to conference and we'll come back at the end for the share. Okay?